Hi, I'm Dan Grieve and I'm at the stunning Apes Hill Golf Resort in Barbados, and today I'm going to bring you the 7 classic mistakes that I see amateur golfers make around the greens. So let's get started. So classic mistake number 1 is dealing with upslopes. So we're on a slope here, it's quite severe, and the golfer tends to use their favourite club. It might be, say, a 58 or a 60. I've got a 60 in my hand here just to show the fault. And a couple of things can happen here. You might still get an okay contact, but the ball goes so high because we've got using a lot of loft on the club face, and we've got the upslope which sends it up. It doesn't send it forward. That's one mistake. And the second mistake is that the golfer will still lean very much on the left side like they might do for a normal chip, and then the club basically enters into the slope and it digs in. So the key on the upslope is get rid of that loft in your hand. So rather than a 60, I would use something like a 52, so maybe a 50 or a 54. 50, if you carry a 52, I think that's ideal, but something in that area. And because of the upslope, it's going to get the height we need, but because we've got a little bit less loft in our hand, the ball's going to be at a sensible ball flight, so it's still going to run out rather than that 60, which stopped really quickly. So I'm going to play the ball a little bit further forward rather than back, because I want the club to follow the slope, and I'm going to add in a bit more release to the club. I use my release 2 on upslopes to encourage the club to follow the slope and not dig in. So ball forward, a little bit of release. Hopefully we'll see a better ball flight this time. You can see that's gone more of a mid-flight and it's just running out, and oh, has it gone? Oh, it's gone in the hole. There we go. So that definitely is the right club, isn't it? Using the 52, ball forward, lots of release. Club selection is vital off these upslopes. Okay, so playing off a downslope is a second mistake that I see quite a lot. It's a tough shot, it is a tough shot, but the key is getting the club face, the club loft correct. So we've got to make sure using more loft. So I would now be using a 60 because it's got the most loft I carry. Because I'm on a downslope, I want to match that with more loft. So number 1 is try and use the most lofty club you've got. But the key mistake I see is the golfer doesn't set themselves to the slope. So they'll still set up kind of normally with shoulders this way, and then what will happen is as the club comes down, the club hits way back and we get the heavy shot, and then we're chipping again. So it's all about trying to match the angle of attack to the slope that we've got. So to get myself sufficiently on my left hand side, I need to stand wider. Now the width of stance you've got to feel, because basically you've got to get yourself in a balanced position. So not only am I going to place that ball further back, I mean that is important you do that, it's going to help you play down the slope. I'm going to stand wider, so I need to get around about this sort of width for me to feel like I've got enough weight on my left side to get myself level with the slope. If it wasn't as severe as this, I wouldn't need to be as wide as this. So the width of stance will help you get balance to the slope. So I've got my 60, I'm going to play the ball back, shaft forward for this one. And what you don't want to do here is release it, because you're going to kick it too early. Feel like it's going to be a release 1 with a short finish, keeping your weight very much on this front leg at all times. Okay, so 60, release 1, and then we get a good, nice result like that somewhere near the hole. Okay, so it's all about adjusting your setup and not having that narrow stance we should normally have from a flat lie. So mistake 3 will just be simply using the wrong club. So use the wrong loft in your hand. Too many golfers have their favourite club and use it everywhere. And in this circumstance, we're going uphill, we're going into the wind a little bit, and the slope on the green is tilted at us this way, which means if I use, for example, my 60 here, and I play, I can strike it quite nicely, play a nice shot like that, but you can see how that ball's stuck. Okay, it's stuck on the upslope and it's left me about a 20-foot putt. So that's an example of my technique being good, but my IQ not really good enough, not really high enough in terms of visualizing what will happen when that ball lands. It's all about predicting in short game what the ball will do when it lands. Now, because I'm into the green, into the wind, and the green is sloped towards me, I need to make sure I'm going to hit this lower with a bit less spin. Now, rather than using the 60, if I went to a 52 and kept the same sort of action, a chip and run action here, the ball would have less spin and it would run up the hill a little bit. Now I could go to something like a 9-9 here, but the problem there is I would have to land it into the slope short of the green, and then we're in no man's land, and we can get any type of bounce. So the 52 allows me to fly it onto the green with a little bit less spin, so it still runs out, okay? So I'm visualizing the shot first, and hopefully we'll see this one run out a bit more rather than digging its teeth in too much. So chip and run with the 52. You can see that's landing, but this time it's running out. Oh, nearly went in. So it's had less spin and more release up the slope, and that's simply by me visualizing it and then allowing me then to use the right club. So don't fall into a trap of using too much loft when you're playing into these upslopes, because it just stops, it doesn't run out. So classic mistake number 4 is when you're in the bunker, particularly when you're under the lip here. I see the golfer leaning back to try and help the ball out, and that basically is going to make you take too much sand and the ball kind of dribbles up and stays somewhere up the lip there. So very important to get that wide stance, really push the weight forward and keep it on this lead leg throughout the entire action, and then from there you're going to be able to be more stable and rotate around rather than leaning back. It's a little bit of a mental issue as well. You've got to try not to think that leaning it back is going to help. You've got to stay forward, and the loft of the club can splash under the ball, and that will get the height to get over the lip and towards the flag. And just a secondary note on this, when you do get these longer bunker shots, try not to use your most lofty club. This is about a 25-yard bunker shot, so I'm using a 56 and not the 60 here. If the club was a little bit, if the pin was a little bit further on, I might go to a 52, for example. So make sure you change the loft on the longer bunker shots. But the main thing here is keep your weight forward, okay, and don't lean back. Then you can get nice bunker shots like that. So keep the weight forward in bunkers and don't lean back to try and help it out. Right, classic mistake number 5 is when you have this 60-yard pitch shot or thereabouts, and you're playing uphill, and the most important factor here is you're playing into the wind, that the golfer uses too much loft, and then it just stalls up in the wind, comes up short, and a long way from the hole, if not even maybe short of the green. So this is a 60, this is the wrong club, but I see a lot of players hitting full wedge shots with lots of speed and lots of spin. Firstly, when you hit a full shot, your inclination with a lofted club is going to want to go quite hard at it with quite a lot of transfer, and you can easily get miss hits, as in heavy shots and thin shots. So that's the first issue. But assuming you strike it good, it's just going to go too high, and the spin, I mean, that's just no control. That will land and it'll spin back. Watch it come back. Like it just about made the front of the green there, but it's a very difficult shot from there. I would never hit that shot. And the famous Ben Hogan quote is, show me the player who hits full wedge shots because I want to play them for money. He'd never do it either, so you have to use less loft. So what I'm going to do instead is I would use a 52-degree club here. It's only 60 yards, but I would play a controlled one, a connected one, to flight it down and make sure that the first bounce doesn't come back and it doesn't get stuck in the wind. It's just a much better way of playing this shot. So go down the grip a little bit, narrow stance, weight on the left, really feel like your arms and body are connected, and just play it in quieter, just with less spin, just to get through the wind better. You can see that's a much quieter flight. It's gone in there and it's just stopped on that second bounce. Okay, so let's try that again. See, much lower ball flight, no real speed at it, no drive at it. Just one a little bit more on the pin. You see, look at that flight in there, nice and close. And it's moving forward up the green, it's not spinning too much. So into the wind, avoid using your most lofty club, just come down, play little quiet half swings. Needs a bit of practice on the range just to feel that, but when you get the hang of that, it's just going to be so important to controlling your wedge shots and getting that ball closer to the pin. Right, so classic mistake number 6 is simply just holding it too tight, just being too tense and too anxious with it. And when you grip it really tightly, the ball wants to jump off the club face, so it lands and it wants to run way past the hole. The ball doesn't nestle into the grooves and get that control and that friction that we're looking for around the green. So very simply, if you just relax the grip pressure, just soften it up, the club will tend to release, and it will tend to then, the ball will stay on the club face a lot longer. So make sure when you're setting up, just let your arms hang naturally. If you let your arms hang naturally, that's how they should sit onto the grip. And then when you swing the club almost wants to swing itself then a little bit more rather than that ball jumping off the club face. And then you'll see the ball react with a little bit more spin. So nice and soft now. I've got some awareness of my grip pressure, and we just let the club swing itself. And you can see the difference in that spin on that first bounce, okay? So it just very slowly makes its way to the hole rather than coming off like a rocket, which you saw on that first one with the lighter grip pressure. See a bit of spin, and then it just slowly trickles to the hole. And all I've really changed there is the grip pressure. So the firmer you hold it, the more it wants to jump. The lighter you hold it, the more you can start to get that control. And here at Apes Hill, you need control. These greens are quick. So if I was gripping it very quickly around here, I'd have a very difficult job controlling my short game shots and getting the ball close enough for tap-ins like that one was. So here we've got the classic shot where we're going over the water. Whether it's over the water or over a bunker, it's the same sort of situation that mentally the golfer struggles with, in terms of you're trying to play over a hazard and it gets in the mind. It's as much mental as it is technical here. But yeah, what I tend to see when the player's playing over water in particular, that they go back and they have this sort of real worry about the shot, and then they decelerate, they stop turning the chest through it. So if they look a bit like this, they slow down and then plop, there it goes into the water, okay? That's the classic that I see. Now, obviously, you can't take it away out your mind. You're always going to have the water in your mind. I'm not going to say try and take it out your mind, because that's probably not realistic. But what I would be doing in a situation like this is really focusing on where I want to finish. So where does my swing want to finish? Well, I want to get my chest pointing towards the pin. That keeps the momentum in my chest. That keeps the speed of the strike, and as we move through the ball, and we're less likely to get that deceleration and into the water. So just keep your chest moving. Focus on where you want to finish instead of what might happen, okay? Keep the chest moving. And then we can hit nice shots like that, down towards the flag, and no worries about the water. So just keep your chest moving when you have water in front of you. So there we have it, the 7 classic mistakes that I see in golfers around the green. So hopefully that's helped you. Hopefully that's given you some bits to work on, some of the faults that you recognise in your own game, and it's going to help you shoot lower scores. Enjoy your golf.